Marina, what would you say to somebody graduating from college now who's going out into the job market and thinking, uh-oh, there doesn't seem to be anything out there? Would you say, hey, go work for AmeriCorps, do something in service, and then use that to leverage yourself into a career? What advice would you give to young people who are going into the workforce now?
Well, yes, definitely, because service, the word service is so broad that I think First Lady of California put it perfectly, where we need to be utilizing skills a lot more. There are so many ways that you can be involved in service and not necessarily want to go out and be in the public, but you can use those skills, like she said, advertising, marketing. So one thing, stepping back from graduating from college, I think it's important to start in high school going into college, that instead of, in addition to just doing service in, say, example, Habitat for Humanity, being able to go into nonprofit sectors, and because the best way to find, I think Gandhi put it best when he said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service. And I think you obtain your skills and you know what's best for you, so that when you finish college and you graduate from college, you're very aware of your own skills. And you can give back in that way and go into different nonprofit sectors. So I would definitely say go into AmeriCorps and all of the other nonprofit organizations that support students coming out of college.
Maria, at Time, we've done 2 issues on national service, and in the first one we endorsed the idea of having a cabinet-level position. That's something that you in California have accomplished. What difference has that made, and should in fact there be a federal cabinet-level position for national service?
Well, we have our Secretary of Service and Volunteerism here, Karen Baker. I think it's made a huge service, as I said. Most of the service did come out of the First Lady's office, and while I like to think that a lot of good stuff does get done there, the minute California volunteers did leave my office and go to Arnold's office, it was treated differently. It just was, and she can attest to that in very specific terms. So I think it would be wonderful if this president would say this is as important to me as health, as education, as all the other people that are in the cabinet, and put it up to that level. I think people pay more attention. They think it's more serious if it's at the cabinet level position. But I think that said, it still has to permeate down to the local level, and everybody has to be working together. But I think it's made a tremendous difference in terms of business coming to the table in California, in terms of nonprofits coming together, faith-based groups coming together, because they see it as a priority and they see California leading the way. One of the things I think everybody here could do, just leaving today, I think anybody who has a business, anybody who works next to somebody, Doris was talking about healthcare. There are a lot of programs that exist today that can help people out of poverty, most particularly the Earned Income Tax Credit. Anybody here who has a business could do a huge public service and be of service by just telling everybody who works for them whether they're eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit. That can put about $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in people's pockets. Making all of these services, what we've done in California is launch a statewide program called We Connect, which puts, whether it's healthy families, Earned Income Tax Credit, child tax credit, health care grants, all of these things under one roof. We've asked people through California Volunteers to come together, gone up and down the state using volunteers to help people prepare their taxes, find out what they're eligible for, walk them through the bureaucratic process, which is complicated for anybody. We do it in different languages, we do it with volunteers, and we do it by taking government out of the halls and into the street.
The new Education Secretary, Mr. Duncan, talked earlier about how education is not just an economic issue, but a civil rights issue. And both of the Congress people here today have been very much involved in education. The Service Act does have extra money to create a kind of education corps, which is something we've actually never really had as a federal program. How would that work? Is that something that you both believe in and endorse, and how would that help the situation?
Well, I think if you look at what we're facing now all across the country, if you look at the budget cuts in the states because of the dramatic loss of revenues, almost the majority of those cuts come from education. So the question is, what do you do with these children? Do we lose a year of progress with these children? Do we put them in very large classes where they can't get attention? Or do we have the ability to add mentors? Do we have the ability to add time after school to help them? And a lot of that comes through service. And the idea of the education corps is that you would develop young people to participate in their own education and the education of others. Obviously, that participation would grow with age, but they can provide inspiration to younger children about reading, about the joys of that, about the need for that, about how in other classes, going over their coursework with them and keeping them involved. And hopefully, as they're older, whether they go on to a community college, state college, they would also then again participate in the mentoring and the improvement of these schools. We have to figure out how to get through this very difficult time by using the assets of our communities. And a lot of that, the word is service. And people have got to step forward and help us, whether it's for the next 2 years or 3 years, whatever time we experience this because of the change in this economy. And so EDUCAUR is also about teaching young people about service early on and letting them have a hands-on experience. We know the impact of peer influence. It's huge. It's huge in changing the direction in a young person's life. It can also be huge in helping extend the assets of a local school to provide a better education. And I think that we cannot lose the opportunity, and we have. This is where the children are for a given period of time. And in some cases, they'd like to even be there longer. And we have to figure out how to take all of those positive impacts that can take place in the school day extended to improving young people's lives and showing them the opportunities that are available to them.
We have huge challenges, but we have people in the community through the churches and other nonprofit groups who are willing to help. Let's put all that together in a way where every child has an opportunity to succeed. And if that is our value, the children will get it. They will get it. They'll know that they're important for the future of this country. So I believe some focus on education, being a part of your life that will go with you forever, is so important. So I think that anything that George and I am going to do is focus very much on that young person. How to make that young person thrive and move on and bring others along with them too.
Well, democracy only works if people participate. The golden thread of participation in democracy is service. And I want to thank our panel for participating with us today.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic. Thank you very much.